Hey there, thanks for tuning into today's video. Before we get into it, if you enjoy the podcast and want to help this show grow, the absolute best way to do so is to simply share this with your friends. So go ahead and give this a like, share it, subscribe because you know you're going to want to get more videos. I appreciate you tuning in. Enjoy the episode. All right, 3, 2, 1. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the T-Hatch Podcast, where we have open and in-depth conversations about the things that you and I care about. Today on the T-Hatch Podcast, unfortunately, I do not have a fun, exciting topic to be talking about. I have something that I was afraid I would have to talk about something similar to this, but it's honestly absurd to watch it actually happening in the United States of America. If you couldn't tell from the title, what I'm going to be talking about today is these unidentified federal agents in Portland, and supposedly we could be seeing them in other cities if we haven't already. But unidentified federal agents in Portland just arresting people in the streets, peaceful protesters, for no reason. No given reason that they've been detained, nothing like that. Snatching people off the streets. This is absolutely absurd. So what we've got is unannounced, unidentified federal agents that are kidnapping citizens into unmarked vans, citing no reason for detainment. Go ahead and watch the clip here.
You out. Bro, we got you, friend. We got you. Oh, fuck. NLT. You just violated their rights. Oh. Kidnapping people. You just violated their rights. Thanks for keeping them fucking... Oh.
So after watching that clip, it is just mind-blowing to watch this happen in the United States of America, a place where the First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees our right to freedom of speech and peaceable assembly. Yet we've got camouflaged, unidentified people going around in unmarked vans, snatching people off the street, not saying a goddamn word. This is not the United States of America. This is not the constitutional rights that they are supposed to be upholding. It blows my mind to watch someone dressed up in camouflage, in fatigues, a uniform that to every single American signifies what it means to fight for our freedom, to protect our constitutional rights. And that's what so many countless soldiers have lost their lives for overseas, fighting for our freedom. And now you want to use those same uniforms to come capture citizens for using their First Amendment rights. This is disgusting to such a level that I can't even comprehend what is happening. It is not the type of thing where I feel like I'm living in the United States of America anymore. This is the last bastion of belief that I had that this was a functioning country that actually functioned as a free country, as a democracy, regardless of how many problems our political system has and the fact that our electoral system doesn't seem to actually go by the will of our voters. But even with all of that, you could always fall back on our constitutional rights, and very specifically the First Amendment, which guaranteed us the right to free speech, which guaranteed us the right to criticize this government, to outcry for redress from this government, and to peaceably assemble in the process of doing so. If we're going to be denied that right, if we're going to be denied all of our freedoms, if we're going to be denied our right to live, what is the point of continuing to uphold this system that is oppressing all of us, and now will not even respect the rights that we supposedly have. It is absolutely absurd. So to give you more information on what's happening in Portland, multiple reports and videos clearly show heavily armed federal law enforcement officers dressed in camouflage stepping out of unmarked civilian vans and forcibly detaining anti-racism and anti-police brutality demonstrators on the streets of Portland, often far away from any federal property where federal officials have jurisdiction. In many instances, those taken into custody hadn't clearly violated any laws. After several days of fear and confusion as reports of these mysterious activities piled up, the Trump administration acknowledged that the Department of Homeland Security had officers from Border Patrol and other agencies use unmarked vehicles in Portland last week. That is from an article written by Alex Ward on Vox. I highly recommend going and reading that article. There is tons of good information there, and it will get you up to speed, far beyond up to speed, on the situation that's going on in Portland. So I will link that in the description below. Definitely go look at that article. But this is just ridiculous. There's nothing else to call this but tyrannical. This is not how a democratic society works. This is how a dictatorship works. This is how fascism works. This is how an institution crumbles. This is the thing that I have been warning people about for the last 5 years. Ever since Trump started being an overt fascist on the campaign trail, I've been calling out to everybody that this is the end goal. This is what fascists work towards. This is what they do by lying constantly, every single day, just bombarding everybody with falsified facts to the point where facts no longer matter. Then you see him bombard the laws and systems, the checks and balances that have been built into our government, testing one after the other, conquering every single one in his wake, and doing it at such a rate that nobody can keep up with those cases and actually bring Trump down. So he uses the constant barrage of lies. He uses the constant barrage of broken laws. He uses a constant barrage of demagoguery and scapegoating to continue to fool people into believing that certain groups of people are the problem and not the government that is oppressing us all. This is the end game for a fascist who is trying to take over our democracy and get rid of our democratic freedoms that we and our ancestors have fought for so valiantly here in the United States of America. And I, for one, will not stand by and watch that happen. We have to get up and set a new precedent for what the people of the United States of America will do when our constitutional rights are challenged. We will not stand for this. You know what comes right after the First Amendment, the one that Trump so brazenly is violating here? The Second Amendment, our right to bear arms, to form a militia of the people, to fight back against a tyrannical, oppressive government. I don't want to be in a situation where we have to fight militia against the U.S. Army. I don't want to be in that situation, and nobody does. But if you continue to stomp on our constitutional rights and deny us the freedoms that us and our ancestors have fought for centuries, we will not sit down. We will not take it. We will not fall in line. We will make our voices heard, and we will uphold the rule of democracy in the United States of America, and we will expand those rights. We will expand human rights. Because we cannot stand for this reality anymore. We cannot stand for a reality in which the President of the United States of America orders unidentified federal agents to snatch innocent citizens off of U.S. city streets. This is not America. This is not the America I know. This is not the America that I was raised to believe in, that I feel a patriotism to. No. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And it's also unacceptable for Portland officials who are just not having it. So, to give you some context here, Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum last Friday filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security and other agencies involved in the federal response in Portland. Per her office's press release last week, the motion, if granted, quote, would immediately stop federal authorities from unlawfully detaining Oregonians, thereby protecting their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights, among others. Another quote from Rosenblum: every American should be repulsed when they see this happening. A quote from Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon: quote, this abuse of power demands an investigation, and those federal agents involved should find their federal employment terminated. I 100% agree with Mr. Wyden on that. Another quote from Juan Chavez, a lawyer and director of the Civil Rights Project at the Oregon Justice Resource Center. Quote, at this point, we're already in a constitutional crisis. Now, I want to really take a look at the First Amendment of the United States Constitution and understand why this is such an egregious violation of our very first constitutional right. So the First Amendment of the Constitution, of the United States Constitution, that is, reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So a couple key lines I want to focus on here. Abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. The United States government has no jurisdiction to be prosecuting, punishing, arresting, any of it, based upon the speech that you say. You are free to address your grievances with the government in the United States of America. You are free to give your opinion. You are free to demand better from our government here in the United States of America. But apparently, Donald Trump does not believe that to be the case. So, in my opinion, that is a very clear marker that Donald Trump has no place as the President of the United States of America in anybody's book. If you believe in the First Amendment of the United States of the Constitution, if you believe in your free speech, if you believe in your right to peaceably assemble, then you do not believe in Donald Trump as president. And I'll tell you this, if you don't believe that the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is more important than what particular person happens to be in the White House, then you frankly are not an American. You frankly are not a patriot. Because this is the most American thing that there is. This is a country built by revolutionaries that had a tyrannical government ruling over them and abusing them. They would not accept that reality. They fought back. They fought for their freedom. And our ancestors, for centuries, have fought to maintain the freedom that they won. Let's not regress back to what life was like before that freedom was won. We need to capitalize on this moment to show that the American people not only will not stand for our constitutional rights being challenged, but we are here to gain the freedoms that we deserve headed into the next century. We need to build a base of rights that will be respected for years to come, or else what kind of world are our children going to be living in if even the United States of America just becomes a tyrannical dictatorship where freedom of speech, peaceable assembly, all these things are non-existent, and your only choice is either die or fall in line. That's not the United States of America. Thank you so much for watching the episode. I didn't even get into the gross misuse of, quote, less lethal weapons in Portland and across the United States. I'm going to be posting a video about that very soon, so definitely stay tuned for that. Again, I appreciate you tuning into the episode, especially listening this far into the episode. Very few people actually do, so really appreciate that. If you got this far, you probably liked the video, so go ahead and leave it a like. Let me know in the comments below as well anything that comes to mind and is just kind of obvious to you of things that I can do to help improve the show, because it may, be sitting right there in front of my face and I just don't recognize it. So definitely let me know what I can do to get better. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. Like the episode, share, subscribe, comment, and with that all out the way, I hope we can enjoy the rest of our day. Peace.